I'm Dr. Pola Rosen, publisher of Education Update, and it's a pleasure to be here today with Zalmen Mlotek, who is the director of the Folksbiene Theater, an inspiration to many, many people, both musically and intellectually. And Zalmen, thank you for making the time to be with us today.
Thank you, Paul. It's always a pleasure to speak with you.
Well, we have only 100 questions, but I think I'll shorten them in the interest of time. First of all, congratulations on winning the Drama Desk Lifetime Achievement Award in 2007. That was one of the things I wanted to mention today, and also the fact that the Folksbiene Theater was founded in 1915 and is going to be 100 years old soon, which is quite a milestone.
We're very excited about that.
I'm sure.
You know, we're the only existing professional continuously running Yiddish theater in the world, and the oldest as well. And that's not a small feat, as you can imagine, understanding the economics of theater, right, and also of our population that has changed so significantly. So that's a whole other question, you know, how do we continue this culture when we're speaking mostly to an audience that doesn't understand Yiddish.
Right. So that was that's a perfect segue into my next question, which is, we are a multinational, ethnically diverse population in the United States, more probably than any other nation in the world. And you have a new program now called Soul to Soul.
Yeah.
Is it a play?
No, it's a concert. It's a theatrical concert that basically highlights the African American connection and the African American musical tradition and the Jewish musical tradition, and how the two cultures have worked together and have sometimes been on the same side of the fence together very often throughout history. Most notably, of course, in the civil rights movement, when so many Jews, led by Rabbi Abraham Joshua Heschel, marched with Martin Luther King. We've developed a program with very interesting personnel, two African-American young men who came to me with this interest in singing in Yiddish. That this interest came from their own experiences as actors and as musicians. One was studying the music of Pola Rosen, the great political activist in the 40s, and the other came to us because he was interested in a play that we were doing that called for an African-American actor. I taught them Yiddish, I taught them how to sing in Yiddish, I taught them the nuances, and they fell in love with it. And we've been doing it now for audiences. We did it in Montreal, we did it in the Hamptons, to tremendous success. So then now we're presenting this program with one other American-born actress at the City University Schools this coming September, 4 performances. They're free performances, and they basically are a blend of Yiddish music and African-American spirituals and civil rights songs and jazz, how jazz influenced Yiddish music in the 20s and the 30s.
Which are the colleges that will be performed in?
We'll be at Brooklyn College, we'll be at Lehman, and
Baruch?
I don't think we're at Baruch actually, but we're at the Graduate Center, and we're at Queens College.
Terrific, so you're really making the rounds in the boroughs.
Yeah.
Okay. And how is it a difficult thing to teach a person that doesn't know anything about Yiddish or the culture to actually learn the songs and the intonations and the speaking part of the language? Is it a difficult thing?
It's a challenging thing, but people are up to it. People who have good ears. Basically, when we cast for a show, for instance, that calls for someone to speak in Yiddish, many of the people who come in through the door for auditions do not speak Yiddish, but they have a good ear for languages. We post the audition material on the website so they can listen to it and practice it before they meet us. And if we see after they've looked at it for a couple of days that this is the level of which where they've gotten after a couple of days, then we see, okay, this is what they did with the 2 days. Imagine if they had 3-4 weeks. And we've found some tremendous talent out there who have embraced and wanted to learn to sing in this language and also to act in it as well. The Soul to Soul, I have to say, is a mixture of English and Yiddish songs. It's not just Yiddish.
Right.
songs.
And who decides on the content of that Soul to Soul?
I'm putting together. I've put together the program,
Right.
and taken from the riches of Yiddish folk song, and also, as I said, African American spirituals and early jazz pieces, early Broadway. Things that had an influence. Cab Calloway, actually an interesting anecdote is that Cab Calloway heard his mother sing a Yiddish melody called Ota Zoyne Ta Schneide. This is how a tailor sews. It goes Ota Zoyne Ta Schneide, Ota Zoyne Ta Doch. This is how a tailor sews, and it's an old folk song, and he turned it into this, he heard it, and he turned it into this whole jazz song. My mama used to sing to me a plaintive little melody, and where that melody came from, I swear I'll never know. But now that I'm a citizen, the tune comes back to me again, and as I sing the story, I'll just sing how it goes. Otaze sings the tailor as he sews and sews and sews. So it's an interesting,
Fabulous, fabulous.
Yeah, I mean, I just wanted to give you a little taste of how Cab Calloway, after hearing this old Yiddish song, turned it into a modern American.
Absolutely wonderful. I want the audience to know, who's watching this on YouTube and Education Update, this is an exclusive, a Cab Calloway song from his mother, sung by Zalmen Mlotek,
Yeah.
an exclusive.
Well, you'll hear it, if you hear it at the concert, you'll hear better singers singing it and giving it a real Cab Calloway feeling, with the call and response.
Well, I can't help but think of the intersection between African Americans and Judaism, because I was at a synagogue where Obama's brother-in-law was speaking, and he's a rabbi from the Midwest, and brought a number of people from the congregation with him, and then at the end they stood up and they swayed as if they were doing a gospel singing, and they swayed and they sang in Hebrew.
Really?
And not Yiddish, but Hebrew. So that's very interesting. It was an interesting reflection for me as you were speaking. How do you appeal to younger audiences?
Well, this program specifically was created with that in mind, thinking, why Yiddish? Why still a need for Yiddish today in this world that most people don't understand it? And we try to put it into the context of history. When we present a program like Soul to Soul, we're showing how Yiddish song actually influenced some of these early great jazz performers and some of the great Broadway performers, and also how Yiddish song really played an important part in the role of Jewish people as they assimilated into this country. And the more we can put it into context, the more we can put the material into context, the more it appeals to people. Just to do a song or to do a play without any context doesn't work. That is one of our goals. Everything we do, of course, is with English supertitles, as you know, so that so anybody experiencing anything, if there's Yiddish into it, they'll hear it. But one of the interesting things that we're doing this coming fall is a new production of a Isaac Bashevis Singer klezmer musical, a new klezmer musical that we're premiering here in New York with the Theater for New Audiences and with NYU, called Shlemiel the First. It's an Isaac Bashevis Singer klezmer musical that we're producing, and this will be in English. And specifically, we're doing it in English because we feel is an important way to break down the barriers of people who want to have a taste of Yiddish culture but aren't quite ready to experience it in Yiddish. So we're bringing them this production, which
Who composed the music?
Hankus Netsky of the Klezmer Conservatoire Band, and I also worked on the music myself.
And for those of the viewers who don't know what the word, is it Schlemiel the first or Schlemazel the first?
Schlemiel the first.
Schlemiel the first. If you don't know what Schlemiel is, it's the poor guy who's walking in the street and it suddenly starts to rain. He doesn't have a raincoat and then he steps in a hole and he falls down. That's the definition of a Schlemiel.
Right. Right.
Do you agree?
Absolutely.
But agree, what are some of the most popular plays you have ever put on?
Well, the plays...
By popular, I mean the ones that attract the greatest audience, numbers and numbers.
Yeah. I mean, one of the most popular things that we did was a play called On Second Avenue. It was a musical review that we did that starred Mike Burstyn. It got a Drama Desk nomination, and our company was nominated for a Drama Desk on that, and was given an award, as you mentioned earlier. This was a picture of what Second Avenue Yiddish theater was like, and it was in English and in Yiddish. So we gave audiences a clear contextual understanding of where they were. People want to understand it, so they came to that very much. Another very popular show that we did was Yentl, when we did Isaac Bashevis Singer Yentl in Yiddish for the first time. It was the play, not the musical. We also, in the last couple of years, we presented Mike Burstyn in The Adventures of Herschel Ostropolia, which was a folk tale about the Jewish Robin Hood. These were some of the most famous and popular audience pleasers.
Do they have a common thread? Was there comedy? Was it their history?
Yeah, there's something about the Yiddish. There's something about the Yiddish theater that people want to come to, and I believe that has a lot to do with the comedy. I believe that has a lot to do with the comedy, and also that there's a underlying sadness that doesn't necessarily come out. But there's, the mix. Why klezmer music is so popular is that it has this vibrant kind of exciting sound, but at the same time you can hear this soulful, plaintive, crying of the clarinet or the violin, and this is the Jewish experience, and that's why the Yiddish theater was so important at the turn of the century, when so many Jews were coming to this country wanting to have a connection with their home, but had no connection and had no visual connection, of course, at the turn of the century. So the theater was the place where they would see their lives depicted, their customs portrayed. And today we're fulfilling a different role. Obviously, today we're not dealing with a population that has no any kind of dearth of historical background or any kind of resource. So we are giving them in the real thing. We're giving them a taste of what the Yiddish sounds like and how it influenced people as contemporary as Jerry Seinfeld and Ben Stiller.
Right. I'm wondering now about certain universities like Columbia University in New York City and Oxford University in England, who have Jewish studies programs, Yiddish programs. And is there any linkage, or do you plan to have any kind of linkage with those programs?
We're involved with them at the moment. All the students from around the world are keyed into. I mean, we try to key in our programs to those programs all over. We offer them special discounts. We offer them special programs. We actually are now also, in addition to going to colleges and presenting our outreach group, which is a young person's troupe that goes and presents pieces of Yiddish theater, we also go to schools, to high schools and public schools, giving kids, mostly in English, a taste of what this is.
Right.
And we do it with for all different ages, from kindergarten up till 12th grade, and vary the program accordingly.
And if the school would like you to come and visit them, can they contact you
Absolutely.
and ask
we
for
do that
a request for program?
We do that all the time, whether it be a musical program, whether it be just an educational program. It can be connected with the Holocaust. Sometimes schools are interested in teaching about the Holocaust, and we one of our strongest points is that we want to show students and teachers today that there was a civilization before the Holocaust, before 1939. What happened? What was this thriving Jewish community that existed in Russia and Poland and Lithuania that was decimated? It was thriving, it was sophisticated. We had books and music and literature, tons of material that was lost, but not lost. And one of our missions is, of course, not only to preserve it, but also to use that and create new works. For instance, this Shamil the First, we have Robert Brustein of the American Repertory Theater adapted this play into English, and David Gordon, the noted choreographer and director, has taken this whole zany Marx Brothers postmodern approach to looking at the wise men of Chelm and created this topsy-turvy set. The women turn into men, the men turn into women, all in front of your eyes, and all in the whirl of this klezmer music. It's quite an event, and we're hoping that pieces like that will attract young people.
It sounds like something that we should definitely not miss.
Yeah.
I'd like to know if there's a Shlemiel the First. Is there a Shlemiel the Second?
We hope so.
Oh.
At the moment, there's a Shamil the First that will be playing 3 weeks in December.
Okay.
Only 3 weeks in December at NYU, at the Skirball Center.
Right. Well, that's a great venue.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about your own personal background. How did you come to this career in the Yiddish theater and music? And you're a composer, you're a singer, you're a man of so many talents.
I have to, when I speak about my own personal background, I of course have to speak about my parents. My mother is currently still will be turning 90 in April, God willing, and is working 3 days a week as the music archivist at the EVO, at the Center of Jewish History.
She's an amazing woman, and I have been privileged to meet her.
She is an amazing woman, and she's currently working on her 5th book anthology. These are her books. As I'm sure you're aware, these are 2 of her volumes, and this is the 3rd one. And she also did
and she was the Sherlock Holmes. She was the Sherlock Holmes of Yiddish music.
Yes,
Somebody did not know where the song came from or who wrote it. It would appear in a local paper as a little strand of music, and then they would identify it.
Correct.
That's amazing.
Isaac Bashevis Singer called my parents the Sherlock Holmes of Yiddish music because of my mother's encyclopedic knowledge of where all these songs are located and were published. So I grew up in this atmosphere. My father was a Yiddish educator and a writer, and I grew up in this atmosphere of Yiddish thriving and Yiddish interest in Yiddish songs, and they would collect songs, as you mentioned, from readers from all over the world. And I grew up in this atmosphere of new songs coming into the home all the time, and so I was very much involved with music, and I went to conservatory. I studied to be a conductor. I studied with Leonard Bernstein, and it was he who actually said, basically, does the world need another Verdi conductor when you have this heritage that only you know so well and can present in the way that I presented, which is somebody who has a background in classical music and in theatrical music. So I've taken that, that message that he and his late assistant Jack Gottlieb gave me when I was studying in Tanglewood in '78, and basically turned my life around and decided to become active in the Yiddish musical world. And when I saw the Folksbiene I had been asked to write music for the Folksbiene in the '90s, and when I saw that the audience was dwindling, I went to the supporters, and I said, well, you have an opportunity here now to turn this theater around and bring it into the 20th century, to the 21st century. and they took the chance and on me and then Eleanor Risa, who was my partner at the time, and we basically modernized the company and have brought new productions and have brought pieces in English and a family show called Kids in Yiddish and a troupe and all kinds of different programming that hadn't existed before. So I am I feel blessed that I'm a part of this theater. I also have to say that recently Brian Wasserman from Montreal, who basically took the Yiddish theater there and built a huge, incredible theatrical center in Montreal, and now has come to be our executive director. And she's a tremendous dynamo of energy and vision, and I'm very excited about working with her as we approach a new century, for a new population.
Well, we wish you every success. We hope that the explosion happens even greater beyond the shores of the United States, and the Folksbiene is wonderful. And we look forward to celebrating your 100th birthday with you.
Thank you so much. Thanks so much.
So good luck, and thanks for letting us come and speak with you today.
Thanks.